isn't your typical motorsports podcast. You're listening to Crush This, a monster truck podcast presented by High Octane Coffee and J Concepts. A show where we take you inside the minds of your favorite drivers, past and present, of the monster truck industry. And now, your hosts, Brad Shaw and Dan Chichagash. Buckle in. The show starts now.
Hey, I finally got work in here. Welcome to Crush This, a monster truck podcast presented by High Octane Coffee, J Concepts, Justin Stories, and his book, Making Tracks. Get it? It's pretty cool. Amazon, $10 pop. Pretty cool. 6 Beer Apparel. We got our crew shirts, $100 pop.
Oh, Cheech died. Uh-oh. Okay. Crew shirts are $100 a pop. Oh, he's back.
Gosh darn it. Like I shake the table and like everything just erupts and destroys itself. I can't even touch anything. I need to make my own bubble. And then I don't touch anything.
You'll be like that guy, that movie Bubble Boy back in the 2000s.
If anyone wants to give me $500, JB Scale Graphics, and then and once again, thank you for Joe Sylvester and High Octane Coffee. Go take a look at his stuff. Go check out also his Bad Habit monster truck, Nightmare Express, and his Mayhem ride truck. J Concepts just got done with a big event in Richmond, Virginia last week. So check a look at that stuff. They debuted some new tires off for their RC trucks. So take a look at that stuff also. Justin Stories, Making Tracks. I can't even open up my desk because it looks like I just disintegrate my whole webcam type deal. So it is what it is. Look at the comments. Justin also says, if you don't want to purchase, it says y'all can follow me at Justin Stories, and if you don't want to purchase through Amazon, just send him a PM. So what's going on, Mike Hedman? How's everything going? How was Juliet? And I think how was Crown Point? Pretty good shows going on with All Star. Was also at Kankakee. There was a lot of monster trucks going on in that neck of the woods. Yeah. So that was that it's a lot of stuff going on, but if Mike wants to type all that in, he can type it in and y'all can look at it and stuff like that. But no, Shelby, I don't think we're gonna see no monster truck run. I don't know about that, but anyway, guys, well, thank you again for our sponsors. To next week, we're gonna get Tyler and Travis Groth and friends. So we're going to have Travis and Tyler on, but also there's going to be a first time for actually teammates of theirs are going to be there, and they're twins. So they just debuted a new truck out of the Groth camp, which a lot of people know it's the Rockstar. But they are too going to be in the show as guests too. So outside of that, someone's watching.
Is an alien about to abduct you, Cheech?
You can hear that?
Yeah, I can hear that. Is there an alien about to? Guys, Cheech, it's either Thanos is going to snap or Cheech is going to be abducted.
No, it sounds like a potato, so it's a Harley.
Potato. I just saw in the comments there, Nathan. It'll be coming soon. I just got to get everything set with the wrap on my computer. So, yeah.
All right, that's cool right there. So don't mind the background of the potato. So let's get it started here. Also, we're gonna start something new today, and that's going to be with Brad. So he's going to videotape when he's not here. He's going to send a video over for it. That's going to be Canada's word of the day. And the Canada word of the week, not the day, because we never do episodes every single day. But this week we're going to do something. So Brad, go ahead and tell people what is the Canadian word of the week.
All right, guys. So, being the token Canadian and everything, I have experience in this. So, the word of the day is beauty. Oh, she's a beauty, eh? So, what a beauty means, it can mean anything. It can mean like, oh, that vehicle's a beauty, or a good person. Like, let's say me and Cheech were working on a truck or whatever. It's like, oh, Dad, you're a real beauty, eh? Like, it means like he's a good guy. He's a good dude. So that's the Canadian word of the day. So beauty. So you can use it in whatever. So. And you got awesome. A double. You got a double. You got the A in there too. So that's a beauty, eh?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Jam packed. Yeah. Some people say the word of the day should be always maple syrup.
You know what's funny? I'm not a big fan of maple syrup.
Wow.
I'm not a big fan of it.
Not okay.
It's too sweet for me.
Well, we're gonna start doing that more stuff, more and more and more. What's happening, guys? What's happening? So that's the news for us at Crush This, while Brad's computer or phone or service is starting to make him more blurrier, and blurrier.
Oh, are you
Maybe it's just me. Yeah, you're getting blurred.
Oh, Mike Hebbett, take off, eh? Go take off.
Go take off. Yeah, we'll get more into more detailed stuff. We got to show some East Coast love, too, so you got to find at least one Canadian French word. I mean, I don't even know if there is one that
poutine.
I guess so. That's going to be it for that. Hoser.
Oh, my goodness. Okay, this is a movie recommendation right now, a quick movie recommendation. Watch the movie Strange Brew, okay? It is one of the greatest Canadian movies of all time. Go check it out. That's where Mike Hebbins getting take off or hose head. Yeah, go watch it. It is a classic.
And also wanted to say for one of the awesome skits from a show called The Whitest Kids You Know. Don't know his name, but he passed away this last week. So, yeah. I don't know if you followed them, Brad.
No, I really wasn't a big fan of them. So.
Oh, okay. Well, it is what it is. But let's get them on. Actually, the crazy thing is I'm good friends with him, so we always bust each other's balls, and we always talk. And I remember seeing a couple of his shows when I was in high school, and he was working for SIR. Now he is rocking his own motorsports and going through levels of that is pretty freaking cool. And we're going to bring him out here, and that's Mr. Kevin King.
And the crowd goes wild.
The crickets go wild.
Cricket. What's going on, man? How's it going?
Good. Enjoying the summertime weather here in Michigan at the moment.
Is the humidity really high?
It's actually nice. I mean, compared to where I live, like home for me is like 105 degrees right now and like 800% humidity. So 85 here is beautiful to me. Everybody's like, "Oh my God, it's so hot." I mean, I ain't seen nothing yet. Come to my house.
I feel like I'd die.
It's like a blanket at home. When you walk outside, it's just like, feel like you get wrapped up in a heat blanket when you walk out. So I'm not minding the 85 degree weather. This is beautiful to me.
Right on. Yeah, and where you're from in Georgia, and Georgia, Florida, South Carolina type deal. It's the humidity and the heat. It just gets to you. I mean, like I tell people, when you're living in Florida, when it gets so hot, they ask you to stay home, not like cut grass and you have to stay in home and stuff like that. It's just crazy. But around there, that's the South. You know what I mean?
That's normal. Yeah,
that's normal. Normal. Well, so let's start off from the very beginning here. And when you first, what was your story on you first getting introduced to monster trucks, and how did you fall in love with them?
I guess like a lot of people don't know this as far as industry related, but my dad had 2 trucks back in the day. So when I was like 3-4 years old, he had his first truck, and sold it, got out of it. And then in the early 90s, he had another truck that we did more like it was a hobby for him. It wasn't like a full-time job or anything. Did a couple shows with like with Bo Bogus and those guys, Hartsock, Calvin Carrington, all of that group. So just from that aspect of it's where I kind of got, it's where I got the fever for the industry. And then we got out of it, and I was mud racing for years, and just by chance we did a mud race. One of our local tracks had 2 monster trucks there, and they were 2 of Calvin's or Rob's trucks at the time. And then through that, I made the connection with Rob and went to work with Wildfire, and then just kind of hadn't slowed down since.
Did you, like, you're growing up with your dad having the trucks and then you going off doing mud racing, did you, in the back of your mind, did you always think, maybe one day I'll return to doing the monster truck stuff, or were you kind of set on doing the mud racing stuff at that time?
I could say, like, I was a huge fan of monster trucks, and I still am. So it was always like in the back of my head, like it would be cool to be a monster truck, to get back into it after being around it with Dad. And then it wasn't. And when we were mud racing, I loved it. And I tell people to this day, like, if I could make the money I make now playing in the mud, I'd probably still be playing in the mud. But when the opportunity came up to go crew for Rob and for Wildfire Motorsports, like I was still at home at Mom and Dad's. I was single, no family. All I had responsibility wise was a truck payment and a phone payment, So the chance came up to go basically get paid to travel around the country and work on monster trucks. And I was like, why not? Like, there's nothing else in my little town where I live. So it was, sure, let's go. And it was an experience for sure. I kind of got thrown to the wolves, and I didn't have a clue what was going on, but I was a fast learner, and Rob taught me plenty. Like, it was kind of the school of hard knocks, but yeah, there was a lot of stuff I learned from him early in my career. And then when I moved on to going to work for SIR and finally had the chance in 2009 to buy my own truck, I just kept taking the opportunities. If the opportunity came up, I took it. And I knew when I bought my first truck, it was I guess back then the Mayhem board. I'm sure you guys remember that, but you had the Monster Mayhem board, discussion board.
Yeah.
I don't know how many times I saw those posts where people could be like, "Can you take out a loan and buy a monster truck?" And nobody was like for it. Everybody said it'll never happen, it'll never work, and I did it. Like, I did a business loan on my first truck, and it was a stupid big payment, but I managed. We paid it off. I worked, and it was very very budgeted. We were very disciplined on the budget. Like, I knew the good thing about monster trucks is we're booked in, for a rate. We know what we're getting before we get there. So everything that I made out of that money had to cover the house, had to cover the truck, had to cover damages, repairs, maintenance, had to cover life in general. And so we were very strict on the budget and very smart about where money went. So I didn't go out and just break the truck in half every night, and burn it down. I had to like pick and choose my battles, and and I was good with that for the first couple of years of my own, being, first out, being, building a name, getting a reputation as the truck, promoter wise, the truck ran, it did its job, it looked good. And then once that was all paid off and I was able to build my new truck, things, I just slowly progressed and got to where I could drive, a lot harder and a lot bigger shows, and I was had a little more leeway with what I could get away with. But we did it. Like I remember like one of the things that I posted on the Mayhem board was about that whole, can you take a loan out? And I was so proud the day I made the last payment on that. I made a post that day. Like, I did it. Like, for all everybody that said you couldn't do it, I did it. Like, it wasn't a big thing to nobody else, but it was big to me because that was, I made it happen.
So when you were working for SIR, most people know that the first truck that you purchased was the old Iron Warrior / Sudden Impact truck. How did that come about?
Nope.
And how did you get? No.
Nope.
Oh.
Nope. The Iron Warrior truck was Glenn Boland's.
Yeah.
It wasn't the Sudden Impact truck. It was the cantilever truck that Vaughters was the last one to run it actually as an Iron Warrior.
I just remember the one Pittsburgh show in 2007. You were touring with Sean Duhan.
Yep.
He had the T-Max truck, and the body on it I met was Sudden Impact for that show.
And I've had a lot of people think that my first truck was that truck. 01 was the truck I was in Sudden Impact, and I think it actually ended up in Mississippi somewhere maybe.
Okay.
But it was a different chassis. That was a fun truck to drive, though. 01 was so much fun. It had a big Gorilla motor in it with a lot of power. It was a fun truck.
So let's talk about the transition from you working from them and then you getting the hands on that truck. How did that come up with, and how did you get stuck with those blue tires?
The blue tire when Brandon.
Uh-oh.
Okay.
There we go. We can hear you.
There we go.
Sorry.
There you go. It's all right.
When Brandon started making the SIR tires, he was actually showing us a video one day of how they were building the tires over in China, and it was a white liquid that they were dyeing black and then pouring into the mold making a tire. And so at the time I had my hair dyed blue, and we were doing that whole blue color thing with the truck. And I told him, I'm like, well, why can't we dye the tires? I mean, if they're dyeing it black, why can't we dye a different color? Like, let's do something else. And he's like, what do you want, a blue set to match your hair? I'm like, yeah, I want a blue set of tires. Like, and my theory behind it was, if you had 6 or 10 or 8 trucks, whatever, sitting lined up for pit party, and a 8-year-old kid walks in that's only 4 foot tall, the one thing they see that's all the same was all these big black monster truck tires. So to see one sitting there with bright blue tires or red tires or whatever, like, that was going to draw their attention, and I just thought it was something, it would be a gimmick. It would be something different, something to just get attention to that truck, and so we did them. And when they showed up, right before the tires showed up, when we had them made, I had to go home. My grandfather had passed away, and so I went home for that. And we came back, and these things were like the most neon colored baby blue tire you'd ever seen. Like, they were, excuse me, they were supposed to be like a true blue, like Ford blue color. And they were like just baby blue, like glowing. And I thought, this is horrible. This is not going to be, this is not going to be cool. But so we got them on the truck, and they did one little like exhibition thing with them while I was gone. And when I came back, one of the first shows we did was Firebird Speedway out in Phoenix. So it was an asphalt show, and they really like darkened up. Like, they kind of, once we got them out and got them in the weather for about 2 or 3 weeks, they kind of took a color, and they're still kind of a light blue, but they darkened up to where they were just blue. But it was fun because they would leave blue marks on the asphalt if you did donuts or burnouts. Like they would leave like blue trails. They did blue smoke when you did donuts, and I loved them. And then when I quit working for SIR and went out and got my own truck, the downfall to having only 4 blue tires is with team trucks. If one loses a tire, we could just pull a tire off another one and continue a show. But with the 4 blue ones, that was it. There was only 4 ever made. So I asked Brandon about buying them after I got my own. I'm like, look, they were kind of my brainchild, I guess, to begin with. And Sean wanted black tires back on the truck so they could match. Both trucks could run either set of tires. And I only had one truck, so the 4 tires is all I needed. And that's how I ended up getting them back.
It kind of speaks to how your mentality with the business is. You saw an opportunity when you saw them dyeing the white black, and you saw an opportunity there and you ran with it. Like, people knew blue tires associated with Kevin King, and how was you mentioned with the little kids, but like when you came out with them, like, how was the response? Were people like, huh? Or were people kind of like, okay, this is something that might take us a little bit to get used to?
It was different. Kids thought, like, all the kids that saw it thought it was cool. They just thought they were painted blue, and most people always thought, like, what did you paint the tires with? That was the first question, is what do you paint them with to make them, blue? And when you would show them, like, after we run the tires, they get cuts and nicks and stuff in them, and you can see it's blue rubber, like, all the way through. And a lot of people thought, most people that had an interest in it really thought they were neat once they found out they were actually the only 4 blue tires ever made, So it was, everybody always said, what's going to happen if you tear one up? I'm like, well, if I ruin one, I'm done. Like, I can't do 2 or 3 blue ones and 1 black one, or 2 and 2. Like, my OCD just wouldn't let me mismatch. But most people liked them. I don't know very many drivers that liked them. There was hardly like any drivers that were like, yeah, I don't like them. But I thought they were cool, and the kids liked them, so it didn't matter.
Right. So, origin-wise, how did you come up with the name Strait Jacket?
Oh, that's a good story.
We got time.
You want the truth on this, or do you want like the professional superstar monster truck answer on this?
We had Mike Wine cuss a bunch of times here on this episode, so frankly, just let her rip, potato chip.
The truth is really kind of boring. The truth is, when I got the truck, I was, obviously what are you gonna name your truck? That was a big topic when we first got it, and I had a couple of names in mind that just I wasn't really like super hooked on, and I was literally sitting at my mother and father's dining room table, and I had printed out a picture of the truck, excuse me, and had taken like transparency paper and laid over it where I could color in the picture and I could color the paper and not screw up my picture of the truck that I had. This was way before Photoshop, Mm-hmm. And so I kept like coming up with these different names, and I was watching TV, and there was a commercial came on for an old like black and white movie that was based in this old insane asylum, and the guy in the movie had on a straitjacket, and it just had this real creepy vibe to it. And I thought, okay, there's me a character. There's straitjacket. There's this guy that I could put on the truck, make his hair blue, with the blue hair, and that's really the truth of where it came from. It was a TV commercial, just a random old movie TV commercial.
But like you think stuff like that, like getting inspired like that, like it's Stone Cold Steve Austin,
Yep.
being the ringmaster, him watching a documentary about Richard Kuklinski, the Iceman, gets handed a cup of tea by his wife, and somehow the name Stone Cold comes out of that.
Yep.
It's interesting to hear that. So what what made you go with the body style? Because I believe when you came out with the truck, it was still the Ford Ranger, the body style, and you've had some other body styles. Was it the body that was on the truck at the time, or did you like, okay, let's just go with this?
Yeah, when I bought the truck, it came with the Ranger body on it, and that was really my only the body was really good. I mean, it was in good shape. It was just a solid painted body. It didn't have any graphics or anything on it, so I didn't mind the Ranger body. It was fine. I'm a diehard Ford guy, like born and raised. So the old '79 Ford. My dad's got a '76. Excuse me.
Tall boy.
We've had a couple, old '70 model Fords at home. So that's just my body style. I like that body. So as soon as I got the truck running, I had plans of going to an old school body. Right away. So I ran the Ranger body for the first couple of years, and I just kept that in the back of my head, like I'm going to build an old school body for it. And when I finally got the chance to, we built that. The first '79 body was a steel body. It was 2 regular cab trucks that we cut together and pieced and made together, and steel front clip, steel body, steel bed sides, and it worked. It worked good for that year that we ran it. It just, man, it don't hold up to the abuse and the beating. And it didn't help that the 2 trucks that we chopped up to make the body out of were like so old and so rotten, you could just about like push your finger through the body because they were rusted out so bad. So it was bad, but it worked, and it was my '79 body to start with.
So I mean, yeah, you were one of the first to come up with, people were talking about, the '70 Chevys and stuff like that. You came up with that truck body maybe a few years before they started doing that. And so you finally got the body you wanted, but you started making a mold for it, correct? And then also when you got that, you were starting to build your own chassis, which a lot of people don't do, not anymore. But what was the time for you thinking yourself, it's time to upgrade the truck that you had previously and come up with the truck, the straight jacket version that with the '79? When did you know, hey, it's time to?
Well, when I bought the original truck, it was basically retired. It was a complete turnkey truck, but it was just outdated to the new style stuff. So I spent almost a year trying to update drivetrain and the safety side of things, and just making it to the newer style at that time. And then I knew in my head, like, to be able to advance to like the caliber of trucks that they are today, like I was going to have to do something brand new. But like I said, I started on a budget. So I started with the old truck, and I kept working, and I kept, like, every time I had a chance to get extra parts or pieces, or if I could find something, I just started collecting parts. And when I finally got the chance to build the new chassis, it had been started on. I bought it from another guy, and it was basically the main frame was kind of there, and part of the cage was kind of mocked up, but it was pretty bare. And we got it home and changed a little bit of it to right off the bat, because just some ways it was laid out I didn't like. And then we finished that chassis, and it was many years in the making of getting parts ordered and getting, better shocks, better housings, better equipment. And when I finally got the chance to build that truck, it was pretty much 100%, like, from one end to the other, everything that I wanted in a brand new truck. We'd started on the mold for the 79 body, and actually Bigfoot did the retro body the year that we were building the new truck. And I found out where they had got the body from US Bodies down in Florida that did that first retrofoot body for them. And so I called those guys and got them to build me. We actually ordered a cab and extra doors. So we cut it in half when we got it home because I wanted the crew cab version. I wanted the bigger cab, and all they offered was a regular cab. So we still ended up having to basically build a complete body for the truck, but we had good fiberglass bones to start with, and then chopped all that up and put it together.
So, you're obviously you're wearing the shirts, and I want to talk about the partnership between you and Gabriel Iglesias, aka Fluffy. That came about a couple of years ago. How did all that come about? Because we really hadn't seen like a partnership kind of like that in the sport. How did I still think the coolest thing that came out of that was the VW van. That thing was just awesome.
I loved it. I love it so much. It was really and truly right place, wrong time. And I have found over the years that some of my coolest connections and coolest sponsor stuff has been just the most random occurrence that caused it. And that's kind of how this was. There was actually a middleman that contacted me. I got mad. I was fed up. I was aggravated, and I put everything online for sale one day. And about an hour after I put it online, I decided, okay, no, I'm not going to sell it. So I couldn't take it down because it had to like run its course for like, so many days. It was on Racing Junk. So it had to stay on there for like 30 days or something before it would delete. So then I was trying to like delete it and it wouldn't work. So I was like, screw it and just let it run its course and, be gone. And so this guy calls me and says, I represent this famous person in California. We want to talk to you about this truck. And that's how he said it. And I'm like, okay, that sounds fake, Yeah, I represent the famous person. And so he was the middleman, and he was talking to these people, and then he was talking to me, and they were trying to work this deal, and it just kept seeming like it was a little bit of a shady deal. Like I just gathered something wasn't right about it. And I finally was like, I need to talk to whoever you're talking to. Like, I need to talk to them because we were running out of time. This was getting towards the end of the year. We were fixing to start getting ready for first quarter prep and, tear down and all that stuff. And so I finally get in touch with this guy named Ryan, and just immediately we kind of hit it off and got along like really good. And we figured out like the middleman was kind of like, he was scheming a deal. Like I'm not gonna get into a lot of details, but he was scheming a deal pretty hard between both of us. And so we eliminated that whole issue, and the deal basically ended. Like that was it. We were like, okay, I'm going my way, you're going your way, whatever. And I still had no clue who Ryan worked for. I just knew he was a manager for somebody. And like literally last week of October, maybe first week in November, I get a phone call, and it's Ryan, and he's like, hey, what can we do about working this monster truck deal for first quarter? And I'm like, we got to do whatever we're going to do. I don't know what you want to do, but we got to do something now. Like I'm already got shows booked, and I'm fixing to, we're tearing down. We're getting ready to leave in January. And so long story short, we ended up kind of settling on this deal, and they were just going to sponsor the truck for first quarter for 3 months. And I'm like, that's cool. I'm like, but I've got one big issue with the whole thing. And he's like, what's that? I'm like, what's the sponsor? Who is this? We've talked for 2 months about all this deal, and now we're really getting serious. And I don't even know who the sponsor is. Like, I didn't want it to be, wasn't just going to put anything on the side of the truck. And so they send me this letter of confidentiality agreement I had to sign that says I couldn't tell who it was and all that. I'm like, all right, this might not be something I want to do. And so I signed off on it, and then they sent me his website. And as soon as the website came up, I knew, automatically who it was. And I was a fan. I was a fan of Gabe's, his stand-up, his comedy. And I'm like, that's so cool. This is going to be, Gabriel Gase's truck. And then, like, literally within the same thought, I'm like, they're going to name this truck Fluffy. They're going to want to call this monster truck Fluffy. And I'm going to be stuck driving a monster truck called Fluffy. And I just started laughing. Like, I'm in the shop by myself with the truck, and I'm just laughing to myself because I'm like, I thought it was hilarious, and I was all for it. Like, Fluffy, that's cool because I've said the announcers were going to have the worst time with it because they've got to make that sound tough. It's easy to say up next is Gravedigger or Max D or all these tough names. Like, the announcers got to make Fluffy sound like it's something awesome. And I don't know a lot of guys in the industry that would drive a truck called Fluffy, to be honest with you. There's too much little man syndrome. But you know what I'm talking about, TC.
I can't help it.
You know what I'm talking about. Like,
yeah.
But
yeah.
So all we had was the truck body. I had the F-250 body at the shop, and I'm like, we can just wrap it and we'll call it Fluffy. So they literally like designed a wrap within a week and sent it to me, and we had the truck done, and we debuted it at Birmingham that year. And some of Gabe's people, his photographer and his personal assistant and a couple others came to the show, and we had the following weekend off, and then we had to be in Virginia, and they decided at Birmingham that they wanted to wrap the semi in the trailer too. And I'm like, do you know what kind of job that's going to consist of? And they're like, it don't matter. We'll take care of it. And literally 2 days later, they had a design made for the semi. They sent it to my wrap guy. We printed it, and we started on that Sunday, and we wrapped the semi and the trailer like 18 hours a day, 4 of us, nonstop. And we had to leave. We had a Friday show. We had to leave Thursday morning for the show. And at 12:30 that night, I was standing on the roof of my hauler putting vinyl on it. I told Dad, I'm like, I got to get some sleep. Like, I got to leave. And I left, took a shower, went to bed, got up at 5 and come back the next morning to the shop, and they were closing the doors on the trailer, like finishing the wrap, and we left with it. Freezing cold. God, it was freezing cold. Had to heat every inch of the wrap because we were doing it outside, and I really didn't think the wrap was going to stay on it going down the highway, but it held up good. It did great. But
so how did the body come about? Like, I know you had such a short period of time, but that takes a long time to get the body and the measurements right for your truck to fit on that. So for the body on your truck.
With the F-250 body, it wasn't too bad. It wasn't as much different as my 79 body. It was just a little shorter because it was on extended cab. So that was a pretty simple fix. But after Vegas that year, they decided to continue with the sponsorship, and they wanted to, just carry it on and keep going. So with Gabe being the big Volkswagen guy, Volkswagen was the only option. Like, we had to do a Volkswagen bus body. So the rest of that year was spent, like, I bought a real 74 microbus, chopped it in half, which a lot of Volkswagen people like to freak out about because it was good. It was really nice shape. And we chopped it in half because we had to stretch it 3 feet to make it fit the chassis. And then we finished it and then built the mold off of that bus to build the Volkswagen bus. And then the first year it had the split window and the V-nose, and it didn't quite come out like we wanted it to, but we were out of time, so we had to run it that first year. And then so we redid the mold and made just the bay window out of it, and that's how we ended up with the last Volkswagen body, the flower body.
So driving that body compared to the the normal pickup trucks, is the visibility different?
Oh God, it was so bad. Like I get asked that a lot because the windshield was 8 feet from the seat, and it's like sitting in a tunnel trying to drive. So I told people like if you could sit in the back seat, the very third row back seat of a Suburban, and try to drive it down the highway, that's kind of what it was like driving the bus. You couldn't see up, you couldn't see down, you couldn't see out the side windows. Like you couldn't see nothing. Like the tour when we did that that FS1 tour with it that first year, the lineup guys in the stadiums, they would line you up from the stands because they weren't on the floor, and I couldn't see them. So my crew guy and Jennifer were on the radio with me, and they were lining me up on the headset. So they would just be like, pull up, pull up, pull up, stop. And then we're like, you're good? I'm like, yeah, I'm good. So they would give the thumbs up to the track guys. That's the only way I could see. And I couldn't see the lights a lot of time for taking off. I would just have to wait on the other truck to leave because of the lights being up in the bleachers. I couldn't see anything.
Man, so let people know, do you still have the mold for the Volkswagen?
Yes. Yeah. I've got the mold. I guess I own the mold, whatever, but it's at my house. I have the bus body. We actually have I've got 2 brand new front clips for the bay windows still sitting there, never been used. I want to put it on something else. I've got another chassis at home, and once the deal ran up, I was glad to go back to my Strait Jacket name, but the Volkswagen body was so popular. Like if you didn't know who Gabriel Iglesias was, you knew what a Volkswagen bus was. And people loved it. It was fun. So I would love to do it on something else. I took it off since the deal was over, and wanted to just kind of let it be for a year or two before we just turned right around and used it again for something else.
Are you guys still connected with Oh, sorry, Brad's a little delayed. Go ahead, Brad. Go ahead.
I was gonna ask, what was Gabe's? I don't know if you guys talked about this while I had to go to the washroom. What was his, when you came out with the bus body? What was his, thoughts about it? Because you mentioned him being a big Volkswagen bus guy. What did he think?
He loved it, and and that's why the first body he wasn't really happy with. The bay window just didn't. He wanted it to be like spot on. I guess like a real version, to where it would look almost identical to the real Volkswagen, but we couldn't because of the modifications trying to make it fit the chassis. But then we finally got together after that first body was done, and we in Dallas, I think it was. We had breakfast one morning. He was performing in Dallas, and we were there for Monster Jam, and we sat down and finally got like on the same page with each other, because he has like a whole team of people. Like when you get to his level, you have an entourage that follows you everywhere, and managers and handlers and this, that, and the other. So there was a lot of like cross communication when we were doing the mold for the first one, and when we finally got set down face to face and like, okay, this is what we built, this is what I turned in, this is what was approved. Then it was, okay, no, we want to do it this way. And I'm like, I'll do it however you want. I just need to know from you, like, what do you want? And after that conversation, then he's like, here's my number. You call me from now on. If it's Monster Truck related, this is between me and you. We don't worry about any of the other people, any of the managers. And that was how our relationship went from then on. So I would constantly, I would send him pictures from the shows and stuff like that, or just updates. Hey, we did this weekend. We did, and he was like, as long as you're keeping the name up, and you're not like making me look bad, like you're not, as long as you're respecting the name, he's like, I'm down. We're gonna stick with this as long as we can. So we had 4 years out of it.
That's a pretty good run. Longer than some companies down in Florida.
Yeah.
Anyway, so do you still connect with them, with Fluffy and Gabriel?
Yeah. Yeah, and we still talk every now and then. Ryan, his manager Ryan, we just made really good friends, so we stay in the loop pretty well. Ryan does some couple different bands now he's managing with, but I don't talk to Gabe as much as I did back then, but we still talk. I've been out to California a time or two, and I've touched base with him when we were out there, and went out to the compound and hung out. So we're still like it wasn't like nothing that ended in a bad way. The deal just kind of ran its course, and it was really kind of a blessing in disguise when it did run out, because once the deal ended in 2019 in December, so then going into 2020, we know how that year turned out, and it wouldn't have done any good for him to be sponsoring me last year anyways, because we didn't do anything. So it was all good.
Gotcha. And then before Brad asks another one, my other question was when about the Hollywood and stuff like that. You got connected. You're done with the Fluffy deal, but during 2019, you also was able to land I guess a cameo or a scene, let's just say, in the Zombieland 2 project. How did that come about? And also, what led you to how did that come about? Let's just say that.
Zombieland was shot in Atlanta, or right outside of Atlanta. And me being based in Georgia, there's a company called Southern Picture Cars that if there's any kind of car in a movie or vehicle or anything that is considered transportation, they're in charge of it. They find all the old cars for the old movies, and anything like in the Zombieland, the Combine, the camper, the Cadillac, all that stuff that was in the movie, they were responsible for finding those cars for the movie. And so they needed a monster truck. That was how it was written into the script. And the man that was in charge of Southern Picture Cars and myself, we have a mutual friend, and he had reached out to him and was like, I need a monster truck. Who's got one close? And I think they actually called me and John Gordon, because we were both in Georgia. And I think John got the call first, I believe. Nathan spoke with him, and then he called me. And I don't know what their conversation was, but me and Nathan talked, and I was told we just needed a monster truck to run over a limo and run through a glass wall. That was pretty much the entire scene that was supposed to be. And I'm like, sure, why not? It's a movie. I don't care. And it kind of progressed from there. So I had to take the truck up to Atlanta, to Pinewood Studios, and met the director and the assistant director and a bunch of other guys. And they still had the Fluffy body on it when we were up there, and they were trying to figure out how to film inside of the truck and have people inside of the truck like they were driving it. And so I kind of spoke up, and I was like, I finally was just like, what are you trying to do? What's the point of the monster truck in the movie, And so we talked, and I showed him a picture of my ride truck, and it's conventional steer, it's the excursion body. So it looks just like it is a big everyday truck, monster truck. Air works, radio works, and so they were like, this is more like what we want, but can you do, they call it tricks. Like, can you do tricks with it? Can you jump it? I'm like, no. I said, but we can jump this truck, and we can make a body on it to look, just like the ride truck. And so after that, I had to bring both trucks back up to Atlanta a few weeks later, and I wasn't real sure if we were going to get the job or not. So my guy Ray that was with me, I told him they took us up to the hotel where we filmed all the Babylon scene and all, and they're like, we want you to run the truck around the parking lot, and maybe make some noise with it or whatever. And I told Ray, I said, let's prep the truck just like we're doing a show, like this full on. Let's get it ready. I said, we're gonna win this part. And so I had this whole big huge parking lot to play with, and all these producers and all these guys standing around. So I came out like full fire suit, strapped in, helmet, and they were like, "What are you gonna do?" I'm like, "Well, I'm just more comfortable if I'm, in my normal attire. It's how I drive." And so I just ripped it up in this parking lot, smoked the tires off of it, jumped off the curb, like ran over a bunch of trees and stuff that were there because they were like, "You can run over whatever you want." So I took advantage of it. We just like full freestyle in this parking lot. And we got done and they were all just like a bunch of little kids. And I'm like, "Oh, we're not done yet." So I loaded all of them up in my ride truck. And that's probably the hardest I've ever ran my ride truck in my life. But I whipped them like, I tried my hardest to sling them out of it. And by the time we got through, they were just like, they were like children. I mean, they were all screaming and yelling, cheering. And I'm like, "We got this. We sold this part, And they actually went back after that and rewrote the movie more, or rewrote the script more to put the truck in it more. And then as every time we were there on set, it was, I got to go to production meetings and I got to go like to the script room and like rewrite script. And we would sit there with little toy monster trucks on the table. And I'm like, "We can do this and this and this, but we can't do it this way." And they're like, "Okay, perfect." So they would like, I got to do so much on that movie. It was so much fun. Like just anything I wanted to do, anywhere I wanted to go, they were like, "Yeah, go do this, So it was just an awesome experience.
With that, they rebranded the truck. I think it's called Big Fat Death, if I remember correctly. And with working with them and getting the scenes together for the stuff, like, how was that experience? You mentioned it a little bit briefly there, but like, getting to kind of map out what you wanted to do in those parts.
It was cool because, like I said, when I first got there, my first meeting with them, I was really just kind of like standing in the background. I wasn't saying anything. I didn't know how any of that worked, so I didn't want to say something wrong and then not get the part. I wanted to be a part of the movie. But then once I made friends and figured out like, okay, I'm actually going to be a part of this. Then it kind of loosened up, and I got to be a little bit more me. So I was a little more mouthy and a little more smart-assed and cutting up, but it played to my advantage. So then, I took advantage of every opportunity I had on that movie to learn something or to be a part of the movie in some way. I spent a day with the pyro guys getting ready to blow up the van. I hung out with the makeup people one day. I hung out, anybody and everybody on that set where I could do something and be a part of it. I did. We had a running joke around the set that I was going to have my own page in the credits, like stuntman, monster driver, electrician, pyro guy. Like I wanted my own page, but and that's how I got the part. I'm in the movie twice because of one of the meetings one day. We were sitting there and they were going over a list of, we need a character. If we need somebody for this scene, we still got to have somebody for this scene and this and this. So I'm sitting there like making notes in the back of the room, like, and we got through. And I give it to Rebecca. She was one of the producers, and I'm like, "Here." And she's like, "What is this?" I said, "There's all the stuff you listed where you needed an actor for a zombie for this, and you need a zombie for that." And person, I'm like, "I want to do all of them." And she's like, "You want to be in the movie?" I'm like, "Yeah, why not? I mean, my trucks are in it. I want to be like, at least a zombie that gets killed or something, And so I was actually fitted and was supposed to be one of the zombies in the Leaning Tower of Pisa, where the guy jacks the tower up. And it was like Zombie Kill of the Week or whatever. I was supposed to be one of those zombies. And at the last minute, they got moved to a different unit for filming. And I was like, man. So we were at dinner one night. We were filming at night, and they were talking about it. And I was like, well, that was my scene. And the stunt director was like, well, what are you talking about? I'm like, well, I was supposed to be the zombie in that scene, and I didn't get it. And so he just picks the phone up, makes a call, and then like 20 minutes later, he was like, "Oh, you go to makeup Thursday night at 11:45. I'm like, okay. They're like, we're gonna make you a zombie for another scene. I'm like, sweet, like awesome. And So the scene that we filmed it for, they told me it was a completely different scene. Like it was supposed to be. I was told that it was at the end of the movie. There's a bunch of zombies like running up to the hotel, and they throw the toilet and the watermelon and all this stuff off the roof, and it hits these zombies. And that was the scene that we were filming. And so that was what I was told was it was going to be. I was going to get killed by something flying off the hotel. All along, the whole time, they had planned on it being getting killed by the truck. And I didn't know that until we were in Hollywood at the premiere. We did the red carpet thing, and we were there. And I was watching for that scene, like the whole movie. I was sitting in a theater like a little kid because I was so excited. My truck was in like a real movie, you know, like it was just a cool experience. And I was watching for that scene and watching for it, and then I seen all the scenes for the monster truck, you know, and I never saw that scene, and I'm like, damn, you know, it got cut, didn't make it, whatever. And as soon as the movie let out, we were out by the truck waiting to move it because we had the monster truck out there, and Ruben, the director, he came out and he was like, "What'd you think?" I'm like, "It was awesome." He's like, "Did you see your scene?" I'm like, "Yeah, it was fine." And I thought he was talking about the other scene that I was in that I filmed when I was doubling for Woody, and Jennifer was like, I think you got killed by the truck. She's like, "I think I seen you get killed by the truck." I'm like, I didn't see it, you know. So we came home, and then the movie came out like nationwide like a week later, and we had the ride truck at my local movie theater, so we were doing rides in the parking lot in Big Fat Death, and you could go in and watch the movie and come out and see, you know, ride in the truck. So I kept walking in and out of the movie theater, like just watching random parts of the movie, and I finally saw it, and I like yelled in the theater because I'm watching it, and I'm like, "Oh my god, that was me!" Oh shit! And I run out the door, you know, because I wasn't even supposed to be in there. And then it was like really cool because I was like, I have one of the movie posters from the movie, and it's the director sent it to me, and he had written a note and all on it, and he sent me an email a couple weeks later and was like, we did that, like, I'm glad you finally saw it, you know, like we did that as a thank you for, you know, for all the stuff you did on the movie. And I'm like, all right, that was cool. Like, just completely.
Like I remember watching that. I'm like, holy shit, that's Kevin.
Yeah, and it's like, because the scene we shot, like we run up and they dropped the camera. It was on this crane, and they dropped this camera down, and I had to like stop and look up, and they dropped the camera like right to my face. And so when I didn't see it the first time, I was like, well, dang, you know, that I didn't get to see, you know, it didn't make it. And then when I finally realized what scene it was in, I'm like, I'm the whole movie screen. Like I have a picture of it from the movie theater, like, and like that's my big ugly face, right? You know, on the movie screen for like 2 seconds. It's just me. So it was fun though. God, it was so much fun.
So here's the with the beginning part when you told me that they asked you to drive around and break glass. How did that transfer to a freestyle slash backflip? And how many backflip takes did you had, by the way? So how did that come about?
They after we kind of made friends and they found out we had the one truck that could look basically anybody could drive, and then the race truck could do anything. I kind of opened that door myself. I didn't mean to, but I'm like, yeah, we can jump whatever you want to do. We'll, you know, run over whatever. And then they were like, well, can you do like a backflip, or can you do, you know, jump this wall coming in? And I'm like, yeah, I guess. Like, if you pay for it, you know, like, so the Nathan, the guy from the picture car place, he was like, he helped me out a lot. He was like, look, he's like, you can do whatever you want. He said, but your original price that you quoted them to run through this glass wall and into this limo, he's like, that is just for that. He said, this is the movie industry. He's like, if they want it, they'll pay for it. He's like, just don't volunteer or anything. Like, you know, take it in steps. And I'm like, okay. So then it was like, well, I can do this and this, but, you know, this is going to cost you this much money. This is going to cost you. And they were like, that's fine. Let's, you know, so we had they actually had a lot more in mind that they wanted. And I'm like, they wanted the truck to do this crazy barrel roll sideways and something else. And I'm like, that's just not possible. Like, I mean, I'm sure it is on camera, but it's not going to work. So we finally came up with a game plan and a full freestyle, basically a full freestyle run for the end of that scene. And the backflip, we filmed 2 days. The jump coming in, like where it kind of comes in and saves a day, that was the last thing we filmed on the first night, because it was the most high risk, I guess, of damage. And then the second day of filming, we did the backflip, and that was the very last thing we filmed, because I figured if we were going to tear anything up, that was probably going to be where we tore it up. The flip was real. I get asked that a lot. The flip was real. It wasn't as big as it is on camera. It was real kind of low and fast, and there was 2 attempts on it. The first one was a miscalculation and didn't quite do what we wanted it to do, and kind of crashed. So we reset the ramp and tried it again. We had a completely spare body sitting there ready to go just in case, but it didn't hurt the body the first time. And then the second flip wasn't clean. It wasn't pretty by no means. But it made the flip and landed. And then I was kind of disappointed. I wanted it to be a little bigger and a little better. But they were like, don't worry, it's movie magic. He said, we're going to make it as big as we want it. And he's like, we'll make it do 2 flips if we want to. And I'm like, whatever, you're happy, I'm happy, I don't have to do it again. The jump coming in, we did that 3 times. It was a pretty big jump, because we had, the issue with it was 11 and a half feet tall. I had 26 feet from where the truck was parked to the bottom of the ramp for takeoff. And then for landing, it had, from the ramp itself to where I had to stop, was only like 70 feet. So when it touched down, like as soon as it landed, it was on the brakes, trying to get it under control. It was, it busted a spindle one time. It bent a spindle pretty bad that we had to change the next day, because it was just really like flob up in the air and just slam down. Because they wanted it to land, they wanted it to bounce. And I'm like, I just want it to land and drive off. You guys want it to like land and do a cartwheel, So it was hard, because there was no momentum. There was no forward momentum for the truck to land. It was really just run up this big hill and just let it flat land on concrete.
You did the movie, and then last year with the pandemic, it kind of messed up with stuff, but you had an awesome opportunity for the new show on CBS, the Go Big Show. How did that opportunity come about? Because that was another awesome opportunity to have monster trucks in that kind of spot.
Yeah, because of, I'm basically gonna have to change this. My battery's dying for some reason. Hang on. All right, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Yeah.
All right, cool. With the a couple years ago, I had the chance to do some filming for the History Channel, for the Learning Channel, and they did the Ultimate Rides thing. They filmed it at my house for my 4th of July event, and because of that, when I jumped the fire truck at home, that's somebody from the Go Big Show saw that online, and that's how they reached out to me to do the Go Big Show. They wanted that jump again for the TV show.
Oh, so yeah, you did that, and it turned out to be pretty cool. I saw it, and I thought that was pretty neat. What was the state? Was it like was it a stage in an open area, or like how much room did you give them the exact measurements that you needed to reenact the same jump, or They said, here it is and deal with it.
No, because when I did the jump at home, I jumped the fire truck long ways, and I have my own track basically at the house. So I have a backflip ramp and it's backflip on one side and just a takeoff ramp on the other. So at home, I have 50 acres in that orchard to just run start from wherever. So for the show, they wanted to jump the fire truck, but they wanted to do the fire truck, the police car, and the ambulance. They wanted all three. And I'm like, the only way that's going to work is to jump them crossways. I can't do it long ways because we're inside of a hockey arena. That was all filmed in the Macon Coliseum. I don't know if you've ever been there for any shows, but that's not a big building whatsoever. And there's a long tunnel before you come out onto the floor. So the ramp that we used was 4 foot 10 inches tall, and I literally had, as soon as we had a truck length from when it came out of the tunnel, I had the length of the truck before I hit the ramp to jump all three. And when it landed, it was closer than the Zombieland landing out of room. Like, it was running out of room in a hurry. I think the whole floor is only 150 foot long or 200 foot, something like that. Because we still had the dasher walls and everything up for the hockey arena, so it was tight.
Dang it, man. So okay, I gotta let this go out. Is how cool is it to have your own monster truck show in your own backyard with friends and other competitors coming in to do the show with you? You have your own monster truck show, and then you have your own 4th of July bash.
Hang on, you're breaking up, Cheech.
Oh, sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, go for it.
I'm so okay. I was wondering, having a show in your backyard in your 4th of July bash.
4th of July has been awesome. It started as I'd really just had worked on the truck and needed to do some testing. And it just happened to be 4th of July weekend that year. And so I was like, well, I'll get some cars and I'll just call all the kids in the neighborhood and let them come. We'll just have a car crush. I need to run the truck. And so a friend of mine that owns a junkyard and a big body shop at home, I called him up. I'm like, I need like 4 cars that I can crush. It was on a Saturday that year. And he's like, that's cool. What are you doing? I'm like, I'm just testing the truck. I need to run it. And I'm going to let all the kids, come over and see the truck run. And he had a big mega truck at the time. And he was like, well, I'll bring the red truck over and they can, climb on it if they want to. And I was like, well, that's cool. So then I had this idea, so I started calling everybody that I knew that had a race car, a mud truck, mega truck, like drag car, anything that was a race vehicle. I called them all up. I'm like, I need all your vehicles at my house Saturday from like 10 o'clock to 4 o'clock. And they were like, why? I'm like, we're just going to have a big car show at the house. See what happens, this is literally like the week going up to the 4th of July. And so when it all happened that morning, we ended up with a fire truck, all this airboat that we had, a bunch of mega trucks, some mud trucks, a couple race cars. We had this really big, one of those huge John Deere ag sprayers that reaches like 100-foot span. So we had it all stretched out with flags hanging off of it. And it was basically like your typical little boy's dream yard with all these toys, and we did like $3 a person to get in and had almost 200 people show up. And I was like, well, this was fun, whatever. And so at the end of the afternoon, I ran the truck and everybody went home. And then the next year it was like, hey, are you doing 4th of July again? I'm like, hey, sure, I guess. And now we have 1,000 people at my house every year on the 4th of July. We've moved from my yard over into the orchard because we ran out of room, so we had to move it into our orchard. And we have 3 or 4 or 5 monster trucks show up now, and the mega trucks run. The sheriff, our town sheriff, actually sends me a deputy every year, and we shut the highway down in front of my house for about 20 minutes. So all the drag cars and the hot rods, they do burnouts up and down the road. Um, it's pretty wild. It's a good time. If it's there, it runs, and usually everybody comes and they show out. So it's a pretty good time.
And the other thing that that you like to do is support you. You're a very huge supporter of the first responders, the military, and just talk about that and kind of what that means to you as well.
The I try to do some like special gimmick, I guess, for that 4th of July show every year. The one year I jumped the pond, and then the one year I tried to do the backflip, and so there's always like every year now it's something like trying to come up with something new to do. So when we did the first responder thing, that was another one of those just random ideas. Like there was a fire truck sitting there one day, and I'm like, that'd be cool to jump over, and that's kind of how that started. So I did I had a body. The body that we wrapped was actually that was the original Big Fat Death body.
Okay.
That was the one that got tore up. So we fiberglassed it all back together and patched it. And I did the thing online and let people like design a first responder body. And a man out of Texas won the contest. So we did the wrap, and I almost didn't have anything to jump. Like I could not talk anybody into letting me jump their fire truck around home. They were like, no, you're not jumping your mom's truck over our fire truck. So I finally, like, our county fire department, I finally told them, look, I'm not going to jump the truck. I'm going to jump behind the truck. Like, we're going to park it. Everybody's going to be on one side looking, so it kind of looks like I jumped the fire truck. And they were like, okay, we'll let you do that, but you're not jumping over our fire truck. I'm like, that's fine. So it was literally like the day before, and I'd already advertised we were going to jump this fire truck and all this stuff and all these people. And finally, like the day before, they decided to send me a fire truck that I could fakely jump over.
And you did it, and you did the job done. And another thing, Greg Anderson wanted to ask about you randomly signing autographs at a Walmart.
Yes, that hang on, can't hear. When the movie came out, the DVDs were like have the plastic wrap on them, but the Blu-rays didn't, and they came in like the little cardboard pouch, I guess, cover. So I was just randomly like walking through Walmart like normal, checking out the toy aisle, and I seen the DVD sitting there, and I'm like, I'm gonna autograph it. Let's see what happens. So I autographed like 3 of them and posted it online one night. And I'm like, I don't even remember what town we were in, but I'm like, all right, autographed copies of Big Fat Death, Zombieland movies are at Walmart. And somebody the next day posted that they had went and bought one. Like somebody in that town that actually was following me and seen it, went and got it. So then it just kind of became a thing. Like for the rest of the summer, every time we went to a new town, we would find a Walmart and we would go find so my guy Gabby was with me. And so Gabby's like, him and Ray are like watching around so Walmart people aren't seeing us. And I'm over there like, autographing DVD cases or movie cases and sticking them back on the shelf. And then we take pictures and post it. And it was fun. Like it was cool. Like to me to know that people actually followed me enough to went out and got it, and then they would post it. They had it. Like it made me feel, made you feel important. But it was just fun. Like it was just little stupid things like that that made it so memorable.
So this will probably be my last question here. With you being on the Go Big show and being on TBS, and they also have a partnership with TNT with AEW. How did the AEW stuff come about? Because I remember watching the whole thing with Matt Hardy and Sammy Guevara, and all of a sudden, like your truck shows up. How did all that come about?
The AEW was a direct result from the Go Big, because of Cody being on a judge on the Go Big show. One of the people that worked on that show has a sister that works on AEW or works for AEW. So
Connections.
Yeah, it was connections. That's all it was. This girl called me up. She was like, "Hey, we need a monster for this wrestling thing," and I'm like, "Okay, like, how did you find me?" And then she's like, "Well, my sister worked on the Go Big show." I'm like, "All right," 'cause I would always ask, like, "How do you know who I am, anyways?" And that was all that was a connection. So, and that was one of those deals where they're like, "You're going to North Carolina. You're going to film this. You're going to run over a golf cart, and that's all you got to do." And I'm like, "Okay." And I had no clue who it was for or what. And finally, like, when I show up, they're like, "Yeah, this is Matt Hardy's house, and we're filming this and this." And I'm like, well, "That's cool. I know who he is." When I was in high school, like wrestling was king. Like that whole Attitude Era thing, the Stone Cold and the Rock and all that stuff, it was huge. And then, life happened and traveling and all that. I never kept up with it as much. And but knew who Matt Hardy was and who Jeff Hardy was. I knew those guys. I had no clue who Sammy was. I'll be honest, I didn't know him until that night when I got to meet him. And we've made friends since then. But it's funny. Like I did they called me a few weeks later and they wanted to blow up that car. So Darby Allin came up to my house, and we filmed that scene for him, and we blew his car up and all that. And my two little boys are wrestling fans now because of that. They're AEW super fans. So they see like Darby Allin as this superstar. This, he is this pro wrestling champion, larger than life character. And to me, Darby is the guy I talk to regularly. He's just a friend. But then when I was down at AEW on set or at a couple of wrestling events, I'm standing there with Sting and Jake the Snake Roberts and these guys. And to me, those guys are the larger than life super. So I'm like completely like geeking out backstage, standing with these guys because and when I got to meet Jake, I was so like, I swear I was so nervous, like scared to death to walk up to this guy and be like, "How are you?" Like, I've got this big ass monster truck sitting in the parking lot. They're doing all this filming with, and I'm just like, just silent.
It's like pinch me.
And it was, and I finally I got up the nerve to go talk to him. He was standing out back, and he was standing by himself, and I went and talked to him and introduced myself, and that was the thing. Like when I was a little kid, that's how I was introduced to Sting and to Jake the Snake, as these Dustin Rhodes, same way. Like these guys were just mega superstar. They were pro wrestlers. They got beat up and they just took it. They were larger than life. So that is the image that I have of those guys. So even now, being in the entertainment business and being a part of it, that's still how I seen Sting and Jake and those guys. They were like these just childhood superstars. So it was so cool to be able to basically just be mingling back there with all those guys and them just like, "Hey, come on in." Like I was part of it. Like it was wild.
So my final question is, let's talk about this year. Everything was starting to come back together, and now this roller coaster, the World Monster Truck, is like a high. Uh-oh.
Did we lose him?
I think so.
Hopefully we didn't lose him.
That would suck. Well, while he's doing that, I'll be right back. I gotta use the restroom.
Okay. Well, I guess it's just he's gone. It's just the Brad show for a couple minutes here, guys. If you guys haven't watched Zombieland 2, go watch it. It is an awesome, awesome, awesome movie. Oh, Cheats is gone now too. It's just the Brad show. It's an awesome, awesome movie. Go check it out. Yeah, I remember watching it, and I'm like, and if you guys didn't know, the part that he doubled for Woody Harrelson was when he was getting back into the truck. That was Kevin doing that. So it's such an awesome movie, and the Zombieland series is just, even the first one is just hilarious, and you got to have your Twinkies. You got to remember that. So Yeah. Oh, can you hear me there, Kevin?
Yes,
All right, we're good. We're back.
we're back. Michigan doesn't
Right.
like AT&T, I don't think, because they have no service here.
Well, Cheech normally has issues with his provider Frontier, so we're used to that.
Oh, okay.
Cheech will be back to ask you his last question there. Nope. Did we lose Kevin again?
Okay, start camera.
Did we lose Kevin again? He was there for a second. It's like the end of the show. Everything just goes haywire. Hey there, Cheech. Oh my goodness. What is going on? Oh my goodness. Oh boy. We'll get this figured out, guys. Shelby, you've never watched it. Go watch it.
Like, you talk too much.
There we go. We're good here. Cheech is trying to figure out his stuff. I guess Frontier might be having issues with it. So, quick shout out there to Shane England in the chat, Mr. Big Kahuna himself.
What up, Shane? Superstar. That's a good time right there.
Oh, he seems like he'd be an awesome dude to hang out with.
He is. I love Shane. He's never in a bad mood. Like, if you're having a bad day, you just call Shane.
I want to quickly ask you this, since we're still waiting on Cheech here. Any stories about touring in Canada, doing any Canadian shows?
I've never been there. I've been so fortunate to go. I've been South America twice, Poland, China, all over. But I've never made it to Canada.
Oh, really?
I don't like cold weather, to begin with.
Yeah, you were talking about the hot weather at the beginning, and it's like, in my head, I'm like, yeah, -40, -50, yeah.
Yeah, see, like I like that Florida tour first quarter, in the South where it's still warm. I did Detroit a couple years ago, and like my batteries froze up in my hauler, and truck lines froze up, and it was miserable. I'm like, yep, I'm good. I don't like cold weather. That's why I'm here in the summer. Like, I'm good with the summer tour, not in the winter.
Are you all good there, Cheech?
Yeah, I think so.
Oh, we got quickly Denver Entrant Camp, the second in here as well.
Geez, I have our monster truck lineup. We got the Venom, Kahuna, and the Strait Jacket all in one. And also Curtis Kramer's here too. So we got some ammunition, and we got a star-studded lineup.
You sound like a guitar, Cheech.
I sound like a guitar. I think this is the end.
Yeah, because it's ding, 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 ding.
Gosh.
Well, can anyone else hear me, or I sound like Stevie Ray Vaughan's guitar?
Yeah, I'm good.
Nuge, you need to get off the Wi-Fi.
I'm not on the Wi-Fi.
You're not on the Wi-Fi?
No.
All right.
Hey, Nuge, the Bruins suck.
Oh, you could hear that?
Oh, well, Kevin still having
you
connection
hear that?
issues.
Yeah. Okay, we're going to try this again. All right, one more time.
One more.
Ching chong, ching chong, ching chong.
Yeah. I moved to the other side of my hauler. I have better service.
I wish I could do that.
I swear to you, I'm not making this up. I literally, like 2 weeks ago, we were here for the fair in Fowlerville, and I've got a roof access on my trailer because we built that trailer out of the cattle trailer, and so it's got roof access right below the where the tire lift goes up. You can take the tire lift all the way up and go out and stand on the roof, and I use it all the time at these fair shows for like the demo derby and stuff. When we're there early, you can just sit up there and see whatever you want. But the service was so bad, I had gotten up on the roof that night to watch the tractor pull and had like full signal, was perfect. And I kept making a joke to a friend of mine I was talking to. I was like, yeah, I'm having to sit on the trailer just so I can make phone calls. Like, I had to stand on the roof and to get service. That's how bad it is. So if I have to go back out and stand on the roof tonight, We'll do that.
Can you hear me now? Good.
So my last question was, how's the 2021 season going for you?
It is kicking my ass. It's good. Like it. I was just talking with Ryan Holman about this last week at a show. Like the last couple of years, I've been fortunate to just beat on my truck and beat it and not really break anything. And it's just been, it's worked great. And this year I've went through like an axle and 2 rear ends. I just finished the rear end today. Put a brand new motor in the truck, and it has the first like month out with this motor. I was just about ready to just take it out and throw it away. I could not figure out how to get it tuned. I could not get it to run like it was supposed to. It would get out of its own way. And then it was just stupid. Just little gremlins.
Well, I guess the little gremlins are still giving us some issues.
Luckily you're up in Canada where gremlins think it's too cold.
Yup. Trust me, I'm not looking forward to the next couple months because I know it's going to get nice and frosty here.
Well, blame it on the frontier.
Anyways.
Yeah, Shane. So you had your motor blown up, your gremlins, and
yeah, just stupid. I mean, it's been. I'm very glad that we all got to go back to work this year. Probably been the most insanely busy summer I've had, but it's just it's been a good year. I mean, it's been a great summer so far. We got a couple wins, a couple new trophies, but just the beginning of it was just stupid. Just I think a lot of it was the truck had set all year last year, so things just didn't want to work like they were supposed to. But once we finally got back into the groove and got back into running, it's been good. It's been a lot of fun to be back out on tour.
That's pretty cool. That's cool. What's your next few events?
I've got Jackson, Michigan tomorrow night. We'll leave here in the morning first thing and run over there. It's about an hour away from where I'm at. There tomorrow night, and then Gas City, Indiana, I believe, on Friday or Saturday on the 14th. Friday, Saturday, whatever that is. And then back up to Michigan again next week for a show. And then off to Virginia. So
that's cool. Cool deal. Man, what a great episode. Hour and a half worth of footage. Good stories to tell, Kevin. No, that's perfectly good. That keeps a lot of people that are traveling. A lot of people that listen to our podcast travel a lot. So it's fulfilled an hour and a half worth of driving. That's still the cool stories, the behind-the-scenes stories and everything like that. It's pretty cool. And learning a little bit about you, Kevin. And would love to have you back on.
I appreciate it. I had a good time. Anytime. We're going to write a book one day when I finally retire about all these just insane monster truck stories we've had over the last 15 years. There's been some good ones. There's several that if you wouldn't have been there, you'd have never believed it. But I have witnesses that will back it up, and they've been a good time.
I have one story that's like that.
Hopefully there's going to be some rental car stories in there.
Man, I'll tell you what, there's been some good ones. We've had we were just I went down for Scott's funeral last week and was down with Bruce Haney and Mac Plecker and a couple of those guys, and we had talked about the when we pulled the motor out of my race truck one night and put a fire truck motor in it. Because Scott was there and Lionel Easler and all those guys just sat there and watched me literally pull the blower motor out, it was blowed up, crank was broke, and we drug a fire truck out of the woods pulled the motor out of the fire truck, put it in the race truck so we could run the Sunday show. And they were just like, I can't believe you're doing that. I'm like, I got to. Like we had to run. Like I had to. It was budgets back then. Like I had to make the show to get paid, and I couldn't miss pay. So the track owner told me I could have the motor out of that truck if I wanted, out of that fire truck. He's like, it was running 9 years ago when we parked it. It's good enough for me, and we made it happen. No blower, couldn't get the intake to hook up to it. So we had Mac had a old Predator carburetor in his trailer. We put it on there and a little like 1 gallon fuel cell, and we ran Sunday show. It wasn't real pretty, but it ran. It made the show.
Dang it. That's crazy. Crazy. Man. You Southern boys. Was that the Dixie Speedway show?
No, it was in Louisiana, actually. But yeah, I don't know how to quit. Like it's just not in me to give up. Like,
right.
I'm gonna find a way. I've been fortunate. There's not very many shows in almost 15 years of doing this. I don't have very many shows that I couldn't at least make it back for, there's been a couple, which we've all had them, but it wasn't from lack of effort.
Right. That's the way it goes. If they know you're trying, at least they give you the respect that you need. You know what I mean? Like they know you're doing what you need to be doing. One way or the other, you're working your butt off.
Yeah.
But man, it was awesome having you on. It's past Brad's bedtime. It's about like 6:00. So,
you're hilarious, Cheech.
Are you an early like McDonald's coffee guy? Walking the mall with the old guy.
Hangs out with all the old guys at the McDonald's.
Okay. Why is everybody on me about me being old? My girlfriend has been harping on me because, I normally have my hair colored, and since I shaved it's growing back, she sees all my gray hair, and I'm just getting harped on now.
Yeah, you need to find yourself a nice camo hat and hang out with all the old guys from McDonald's. And you can talk about your day, which ends at 9 a.m. Yeah, drink all their coffee, and then pretty soon you're gonna wear your New Balances, and then you're gonna explain to them how you're gonna cut grass, and you got yourself a new John Deere tractor, or a Simplicity. Y'all use a Simplicity or Iron Horse, and then you go ahead and you cut your grass at 9 a.m. and then you're done. You're done. You have nothing else, and you upgrade from coffee to sweet iced tea. Get yourself a batch of sweet ID.
Lunch at 10, dinner at 4, bed by 6.
Yep. It's on the daily news.
Yeah, you know what? I turned 30, and that's the downfall.
Man, you look like you're 50, Brad.
Let me just go get my cane.
Then you hang out there. Then you're going to start wearing glasses like your Bubbles from the Trailer Park Boys. And then you're going to go over and hang out. You're just going to do this over and over again until some guy offers you to go fishing. And then you finally take that as a recreational sport.
Oh, gosh. I
see it now, Brad. Yeah.
You're going to be the old man from Grumpy Old Men sitting out there fishing until you...
Oh, gosh.
Your favorite word's going to be what?
A. What? A?
A. What? A. What? A?
A. What?
A. Then you're going to start shuffling. Then you're going to be like having the walking farts and everything like that. And you're going to shuffle your feet. Just shuffling. Did I mention you probably get your new pair of New Balances? I'm going to buy you a new pair of New Balances. The white ones. The white ones. You got to get the white ones.
You have to be the all white one.
All white ones, khaki pants, and a button-up shirt. You got to tuck it in, Brad. Got to tuck it in. And then, oh, by the way, between 2 to 4 o'clock in the afternoon, you have to be searching for more than just one insurance company. So don't forget that. You're You gotta look for insurances and stuff like that. You gotta
Oh my god.
be a penny pitcher and start wondering about neighbors, cutting grass. Oh yeah, look forward to cutting grass a lot.
Hey, I
Like a
already
coffee
do that
mug.
already for my parents, so I'm starting
Gotta have
early.
your coffee mug. Gotta have your coffee mug. Take a sip. Just look at your grass.
Me on
and like,
Saturdays. This is me on Saturdays. A little bit of a turn here. A little bit of a turn here. A little bit of a turn here. Oh, go around the bush. Go around the bush. A little bit of turn here.
yeah,
go
you're
around
already
the bush.
there.
You gotta,
Just hang
you
out
gotta
at
do the
McDonald's.
lines. You gotta be able to
Yeah.
cut the lines so it gets the pattern, straight,
Mhm.
perfect line back and forth.
Oh, no. I'm an agent of chaos. It's just I go wherever I want.
No, you have to be nice lined up. Also, you have to put your wallet in your fanny pack. Someone brought up a good point. Shelby said, "Don't forget your fanny pack. You need your fanny pack with all your essentials there, Brad.
Oh, God.
Oh, they're
You know,
back
your
now.
wallet.
Apparently.
Yeah, they're back.
I just learned this the other day. Like they're everywhere.
Hey,
Jesus.
wrestler pack is coming back.
Yeah, like seems like every wrestler has that, a fanny pack. Gotta get
I
your
wasn't
fanny
a fan
pack
of
on,
them
Brad.
when they were cool the first time, so I don't.
Yeah,
I
I
don't have
never. Yeah. Brad, you're starting off with a bang. So you're doing good. Just past your bedtime, hang out with the McDonald's crew.
Truly gonna be a fun time.
always.
Yeah, hanging out with all the McDonald's people. Talk about the news, talk about the neighbor, talk about the dog that craps all over your front yard.
Get off
Yeah,
my
awesome.
lawn, you stupid kids!
All right, that's just getting weird. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, it's definitely past Brad's bedtime because he's getting all giggy. And, we just got to shut this down before it becomes an embarrassment for Brad.
Oh,
And then he's going to be on Twitter again like he falls off the roof or wall or whatever that's called. So, Kevin, thank you again for this wonderful enjoyment. See, everyone's wondering what the heck you're drinking, Brad.
I thought Truly's were for girls. Just saying.
I don't know.
It's their place.
I don't know. It's different up in Canada. They must like White Claw and all that stuff.
Hey,
so.
I'm a whiskey man. I like my whiskey, but this was the
And
stuff
you
up
like
here.
Truly also. You just
Come down to Georgia and I'll get you some homemade stuff that
Ooh.
comes in jars.
Oh, definitely get your hair growing there, Brad. You want to
Yeah,
lose that bald head of yours.
I'll finally get a beard.
No. Yeah, you'll get a beard, and then top of your heads will be the chia. So add water. Drink whatever you drink, and add water to the top of your head. Poof, and you look like an Afro man.
I think this is the greatest ending to a podcast ever.
Yeah, I think so. Greg Anderson says, "Stop picking on Brad." Yeah, we should stop picking on Brad. Okay, Brad. Yeah, it's so fun. Come to Georgia, drink some homemade stuff then you come back to Canada and you look like one of those lumberjack men. I'm here to deliver seed.
There's going to be Bigfoot sightings all over Western Canada, Western Alberta. It'll be me after I drink some homemade stuff.
You walk around to your girlfriend and be like, I'm here to deliver my seed. Jack on with like an axe on the top of your shoulder, and then you like with a flange, just come out with a freaking big beard like ZZ Top, and then like you just come over and your voice becomes so manly. You be like, I'm here to deliver my seed. This is my show. I don't care.
I'm good. I'm good.
I have a feeling Tim Hall's shaking his head right now.
Oh, he shakes his head all the time when I'm around.
Oh,
Mark's gonna be like, nope, that's not the guy that works for me. Nope.
I think I lost Brad, but that'd be funny. He'd be like that, and then he'd be manly enough. He'd be man enough to drink maple syrup He said he didn't like maple syrup. But one time in Georgia,
One
the
time
devil
in
went
Georgia.
down.
That's all it takes.
One time in Georgia, the devil came down to Georgia looking for Brad, and he gave him some maple syrup. And ooh-wee. There we go. That's good. You're gonna be a true Canadian. I see you, Brad. You'll be so manly after that time in Georgia. You'll be wrestling bears, riding them, telling people it's your furry tractor. You know.
Oh gosh.
Hey guys, look at my furry tractor.
Yeah, Greg, new
It's not
show called
fantastic.
Off the Rails with Cheech.
It's not eating anything. It's eating deer, but not eating grass. This furry tractor
God.
that's mind of its own.
Oh, this is just gone off the rails.
Oh, well, actually, Kevin, Brad is going to America in the next couple weeks.
Yeah,
so
really.
I think
If
part of
the
the
borders
South is
open
North
up.
Carolina.
I'll
If
be
the
in North
borders open
Carolina,
up.
so that's if the borders open up. If you know that all works out, but
They should be. I think.
Yeah.
I think I've got Eddie Como tomorrow at this show, and they were
it's for
they
Canadians
were
going
iffy
to
about
the States,
getting across.
because I think it's on the 21st. There's supposed to be something about it they've been like extending it a month by month basis right now.
Oh, I got you.
Well, I was about to say
I'm-
Eddie's coming to the United States there, Brad.
Well, I think
Yeah.
it's different for like sports and stuff like that. You can get special permits or whatever. You can do that,
Oh, okay.
but not for
That's-
not for just leisurely travel.
That's really one of the reasons I haven't been to Canada much, because I've always heard like so many war stories about getting back and forth across the border up there. Like I mean, yeah, I don't like cold weather, but I really don't want to have to argue with the Border Patrol either. So
No,
Yeah,
no,
and doing the paperwork and doing the licensing
Yeah.
and
it's just not worth it to go for one or two shows. Like, I mean, not for me, anyways.
I bet you kind of hurts Chris RL then, especially his Montreal show.
See that, like, I would love to go do that show, because that place is huge. You know, it's one of those bucket list shows for the industry that would be cool to go do. But unless I'm already up here, like, it's completely pointless for me to come from South Georgia all the way to Canada to go do, one show and turn around and go back. Like, that's just bad business. I had called about going out west yesterday, and I'm like, yeah, you can't pay me what it would cost to go all the way to California, do a show, and turn around and come back home. Like,
Then you have to rely on other people to book you out west so you can actually earn the money that you need to do it. One
right.
show
I mean,
ain't gonna
if
help
I could go for 6-8 weeks or something like that, where it was worth getting out there, yeah, it would be fine. But you just can't drive all the way to Wyoming or Washington and cross country for a $2,500 fare show. That's just
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I'm now officially ending this before this chain derails, because now it became officially Kevin King and then went in the night of going to Georgia episode. So, Brad, good luck. You'll be all right.
Oh.
You have a good time. But
Well, I appreciate it, guys.
Brad,
I had a good time.
is there any social media people can follow yet, Kevin?
There's Instagram and Facebook. Pretty much that's about it. I just did a new Facebook account this year, actually, because my fan page was so outdated. Facebook shut it down, so they didn't have any control over me. But I think it's just the new page is just Kevin King, I think, and then Instagram's Kevin King Motorsports. So I'm horrible at social media, so don't expect like daily post or anything. I always forget about it.
How about you, Brad?
On Instagram, it's the Monster Truck Canucker. And just find me on Facebook, just under Bradley Shaw. So that's kind of simple.
Just come to Champaign and say hi to me.
Yeah, I'm hoping to do that soon. So
I'm going to talk about that's my social media. Come down to
Oh.
Champaign or come up to Champaign. Just say hi to me and leave. That's all you guys have to do.
I went through there the other day.
Oh, you should just waved your hand. I would have caught on somewhere. Hey. No, follow me on Dan TJ Gosh on Facebook. Same thing on Instagram. Follow Crush This Monster Podcast on Instagram and on Facebook. Also, follow my RC page. I have an RC page on Facebook and Instagram, like again said. November 20th, we're having I'm hosting an RC event. Also, that is a open house too for the Hall Brothers Racing, November 20th, starting at 7:30 a.m. That's doors open, and then we're racing around 9 o'clock. So $10 a pop for the first truck, $5 afterwards. 4 different divisions. Check it out on the page. I'll put that on the Crush This page too, so people can take a look at it too. But that's pretty much it. Like I said, thank you for all the sponsors and the people that have helped out. Joe Sylvester and High Octane Coffee, Jason and Fred from J Concepts, Justin Stories on his comic book, Making Tracks. Take a look at that. Also, JB Scale Graphics, John and Bex, for all your needs, official license, RC decals for Bigfoot, Bad Habit, Against the Grain, Heavy Hitter, Overkill Evolution, and Obsessed. Also, 6B Apparel. We have crew shirts, $100 a pop. Take a look at that stuff also. And then Back Channel Productions, take a look at Nick Davis and all he does with the Renegade Tour and other tours around the country. And also Bradley Shaw Designs, official designs for the Renegade Monster Truck Tour. Also did Bigfoot Bad Boy 3. Did I mention he also did Bigfoot Bad Boy 3? And did I mention again, did he do Bigfoot Bad Boy 3? Once again, next week's guest is Tyler and Travis Groff and some crew people too. And friends. So I put that there for next week. Once again, folks, I'm Dan TJ Gosh. That's Bradley Shaw. And thank you again and Kevin King for being on. But like Brad always says, keep the rubber side down and the shiny side up. Peace. Dun, 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 dun.